This video contains content discussing violence, death, and murder. Viewer discretion advised.
Saint John of God, also known as Juan de Dios, was a 16th century Spanish saint renowned for his devotion to the sick and needy. His life is a testament to selfless service and compassion. Here's a brief biography of his life. John of God was born on March 8, 1495, in Montemor o Novo, Portugal. His birth name was João Cidade. Little known is about his childhood, but it is believed that he grew up in a devout Catholic household. At the age of 8, he left home and took up a shepherd's life. Later, he served as a soldier fighting for the Spanish against the French in the army of Charles V. In his early 30s, while living in Granada, Spain, he experienced a profound spiritual conversion after encountering a monk who preached about the love of God. This encounter deeply affected John, prompting him to devote his life to serving God and helping those in need. In 1538, John founded a hospital in Granada to care for the sick and homeless. He started collecting abandoned and sick people from the streets and bringing them to the hospital. John's approach to caring for the sick was marked by compassion and humility. He often begged for alms to support the hospital and personally tended to the patients, providing them with care and comfort, as well as spiritual guidance. Over time, John's hospital grew, attracting volunteers and benefactors who, inspired by his devotion, helped to care and devote to the poor and sick. John's work gained recognition from ecclesiastical authorities who granted him permission to establish a religious order dedicated to caring for the sick. In 1550, John also founded the Order of the Hospitallers, also known as the Brother Hospitallers of St. John of God. The order was based on the principles of hospitality, charity, and service to the sick. The order spread quickly and established hospitals and centers throughout Spain and beyond, including Portugal, Italy, and the Americas. John of God passed away on March 8, 1550, at the age of 55. He was canonized as a saint by Pope Alexander VIII in 1690. St. John of God is remembered as a model Christian charity and selflessness. His order continues its mission of caring for the sick and needy to this day. John of God was canonized by Pope Alexander VIII on October 16, 1690. His feast day is celebrated on March 8th and the anniversary of his passing in the Rome Catholic Church. St. John of God's life serves as an inspiration for individuals dedicated to the service of others with compassion and love. His legacy lives on through the ongoing work of the Order of Hospitallers and the countless individuals inspired by his example. St. John of God is often depicted in religious art and iconography with several distinctive attributes that symbolize his life, mission, and devotion. Here's a brief presentation of just some of the common elements found in depictions of him. St. John of God is typically shown wearing the religious habit of the Hospitallers order he founded, which consists of a long black tunic with a white scapular or apron. Sometimes he may also be depicted wearing a black hood or cowl. In many images, St. John of God is portrayed holding a cross or wearing a cross around his neck, symbolizing his devotion to Christ and his willingness to suffer for others. Additionally, he may be depicted wearing or holding a crown of thorns, representing Christ's suffering and sacrifice. Another common attribute associated with St. John of God is a burning heart, often depicted either floating above his chest or held in his hands. This symbolizes his intense love and passion for serving God and caring for the sick and needy. St. John of God may be depicted holding a book or scroll, symbolizing his dedication to prayer, meditation, and spiritual reflection. Sometimes depictions of St. John of God include scenes of him caring for the sick, homeless, or marginalized individuals, emphasizing his commitment to serving those in need. In certain images, St. John of God may be accompanied by angels, symbolizing divine assistance and guidance in his charitable works. St. John of God's iconography often emphasizes attributes associated with mercy, compassion, and hospitality, such as outstretched hands, offering help, or welcoming gestures. Occasionally, St. John of God may be depicted with the emblem or coat of arms of the Order of Hospitallers he founded, which typically features a cross, heart, and other symbolic elements representing the order's mission and values. These various elements in St. John of God's iconography serve to convey his virtues, mission, and spiritual significance as a compassionate servant of God and the poor. St. John of God is reputed to have performed numerous miracles during his lifetime and after his passing, many of which are recorded in various sources, including accounts from witnesses, biographies, and documents submitted by and during the process of his canonization. Here's a brief presentation of just some of the notable miracles associated with St. John of God. St. John of God, said to have performed countless miracles, healings of the sick and afflicted during his lifetime. These healings often occurred as a result of his prayers, laying on his hands, or compassionate care for the sick in his hospitals. Many individuals reportedly experienced sudden and unexpected recoveries from illness and disabilities after seeking his intercession. St. John of God is believed to have possessed the gift of driving out demons and performing exorcisms as well. There are accounts of him liberating individuals who were believed to be possessed by evil spirits through his prayers and exorcisations. In one well known miracle, it is reported that St. John of God miraculously multiplied food to feed the hungry. During a time of scarcity, he prayed over a meager amount of food, and it was miraculously multiplied to provide nourishment for a large number of individuals. There are accounts of St. John of God raising the dead back to life. One such miracle involves the restoration of life to a deceased child whom St. John of God reportedly brought back to life through his prayers and intercession. St. John of God is said to have miraculously protected his hospitals and the sick within them from fire on multiple occasions. In times of fire outbreaks, it is believed that the flames miraculously avoided causing harm to buildings and inhabitants under his care. St. John of God is also said to have experienced bilocation, the ability to be physically present in two locations simultaneously. There are accounts of him appearing in multiple places at once to provide comfort, assistance, and healing, to those in need. These are just a few examples of the miracles attributed to St. John of God. Throughout his life and beyond, his reputation for holiness and miraculous deeds have inspired devotion and reverence among believers, leading to the eventual canonization as saint in the Roman Catholic Church. The process of sainthood, known formally as canonization, involves several stages within the Catholic Church. Here's a brief overview of what typically occurs during this process. The process usually begins at the diocesan level, shortly after the passing of the individual who is considered to have lived a life of holiness. The bishop of the diocese where the person died may initiate an investigation into the individual's life, virtues, and reputation for holiness. If the bishop finds sufficient evidence, he may petition the Vatican's Congregation for the Causes of the Saints to allow the cause of the beatification and canonization to proceed. At this stage, the individual is referred to as a servant of God. After a thorough investigation into the person's life, writings, and reputation for holiness, the Congregation for the Causes of the Saints may recommend to the Pope that he declare the individual as venerable. This declaration indicates that the person lived a life of heroic virtue, although it does not affirm that the person's saintliness or the occurrence of miracles through their intercession. For beatification, one miracle attributed to the intercession of the venerable person is typically required. The miracle must be verified through a rigorous investigation by medical experts, theologians. If the miracle is deemed authentic and unexplainable by natural causes, the Pope may proceed with beatification. A beatification ceremony involves a declaration by the Pope that the individual is blessed, and their feast day may be celebrated in certain regions or religious communities. Canonization requires the verification of an additional miracle, usually post beatification miracle. Once this second miracle is confirmed, the Pope may proceed with canonization, declaring the individual a saint and affirming their place in the liturgical calendar of the Catholic Church. Canonization ceremonies are typically grand events held at the Vatican and attended by pilgrims and dignitaries from around the world. In the case of St. John of God, he was canonized as a saint by Pope Alexander VIII on October 16, 1690, almost 140 years after his passing. His canonization recognizes his exemplary life and service to the sick and poor, his profound devotion to God, and the miracles attributed to his intercession. To say the St. John of God is venerated as a patron saint of hospitals, the sick, nurses, and firefighters, as well as alcoholics, among others.